Ladies and gentlemen, this is Isaiah Theodore. We're here for the Mental Health Podcast. I have here with me today Mr. Jake Pearson. Excuse me if I messed that up. He is a passionate personal trainer, starting his own personal training business in 2016. Now, after overcoming his low self-esteem and anxiety through exercise and changing his lifestyle, Jake is now on a mission to help others redesign their lives through their personal training. And in his podcast, it's called Redesign Your Body. Jake, how you doing today?
Isaiah, mate, I'm doing really well from the other side of the world. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. We had not a mix up, but we got a little bit of time difference. This is kind of first of all, this is my international podcast, I guess you could say. This is actually my first official interview, and I have it with someone across the world, man. Appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you mitigating the time, bookings, and everything. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, man. It's definitely not without any appreciation.
Oh, all good, man. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm very excited to talk all things mental health and how we can help others break down the stigma. It's going to be really exciting.
Let's go. I'm all about it. All right. So first things first. Usually when people talk about mental health, of course, everyone thinks about going into a room with the old guy with his glasses, with his pen and pad, and you're laying on the couch, right? It's 2020. We're not in 1920. And so I guess when some people think of, when they say you can achieve some mental health through exercising, through running 2 miles, through lifting weights, and people would think, okay, what are you talking about? What does that even mean? I exercise to lose weight. I exercise to look good. I exercise to have a six pack. I exercise to have better dating options. So how did you come to the conclusion that exercise helps you with your mental health, helps you with your brain and how you live and work every day?
Yeah, great question. So I guess I could start with my story because that mental health is really deep rooted in my lifestyle. I struggled with anxiety since I was about 10 years old, and it was through being mindful this year, being able to reflect backwards, that I actually realized that I had that anxiety, which perpetuated self-esteem issues because of all these imprints that I'd had of people saying things that when I was at a point of very easily influenced in my life, I just took those thoughts and feelings on board. So I was a very anxious kid, very low self-esteem, thought I was dumb, unattractive, not smart, not funny, really struggling to find my own person based on other people's imprints. And that carried all the way through high school, struggling to make friends, struggling to have relationships, not really understanding who I was as a person, not putting myself out there, had no confidence at all. And, I hit the age of about 20. I'd been drinking on weekdays to help mitigate certain anxieties and overthinking and low self-esteem issues with my confidence when I was with relationships, because that's when my anxiety would really trigger. And, all of that perpetuated with the confidence issues, self-esteem, it just made life hard. I've had issues or had days where I've contemplated harming myself with suicide as well, just because of anxiety and overthinking. And that's when I really realized, and a lot of my friends were like, you should see someone. And I never did see a professional, but I started to change my life through fitness. And so it was around that time where I was drinking to hide from my emotional pain. I was also covering up physical pain. I bulged a disc in my lower back, so I pushed out a disc onto a nerve at only 20 years old, just from stretching on the ground. But that probably was contributed through poor lifestyle, like sitting in a chair and playing games all day for me, that when I was told by a physiotherapist, a health professional, that I would not overcome that pain for the rest of my life, it really set things in motion that, okay, I couldn't train my body. So I had to work on my nutrition. And then when I started working on some good relationships with food and making better choices, I started to feel a bit more confident in my body. And over time, I saw like 6 or 7 different health professionals, had MRIs, osteopaths, doctors, about my back, and everybody had a different opinion. And so I collated all this information plus my own research and really learned a lot about my body that allowed me to understand the relationship between exercise and my mental health. Because as I started to build more confidence in my lower back over the years, as I started to see visible changes in my own physical shape and get into a healthier space with that, as I started to build a better relationship with food, my anxiety started to lessen because I was able to reflect more and control that. I started to manage my self-esteem and actually got really confident in my body because I was receiving validation from other people. I was no longer being held back by, think of it this way, you've got a scale and the scale's tipped in the balance of people, what they're negatively saying about you versus what they're positively saying. So over time, the negatives and the positives slowly tipped. And so the positives started to outweigh the negatives of what people were saying about me, which helped with my confidence. And that was only through exercise that I got validated. But, so there's a big tie for me between, if I didn't have that disc injury, I probably wouldn't have changed my physical health the way I did, which would never have seen the changes in my anxiety, self-esteem, and confidence.
That's big. So there's a lot of things. First thing was the catalyst at which spearhead some people to move into greater. It's funny how they can be positive, they can be negative, but like in music, sometimes the best music comes from the music of negativity, of pain. And so it's funny how your catalyst came from literal pain. Music is like emotional. Yours is literal pain. Could have had surgery. That spearheaded you into this journey of mental health. But I was about to get to the diet thing set up later, but it's funny that you say that because I myself went into the Army, had to lose over 100 pounds of weight, and so mine wasn't so existential or like an enlightenment type of thing. It was like I was trying to get out and go do something and stop being on the couch, and my mom was nagging me. But it turned out I can be a testament to, I agree. Once I started eating this food that was alkaline and of kind of, to me, I say it's living food and electric food, that fueled me into doing better things. Now I got out to doing extreme sports, a snowboard, trying to jet ski, whitewater rafting, and type of thing. So in the diet aspect, from what I know, there's a lot of food deserts out here in our country. I don't know about you. And a big thing, a part of it, that's another thing people don't get. Like, not just exercise, the food you eat, it assimilates. When you ingest something and take it in your body, it assimilates, it becomes you, or else it helps you. So in your discovery of your diet, what are some of the things that you figured out that actually you should eat, shouldn't eat? What are some, I guess you could say, what's the word? Some false narratives or some things that maybe people will tell you that you figured out personally that you know that you eat or don't eat, that this could help you with your mental health.
Yeah. So let's first start by breaking down how the gut and the brain talk to each other through the vagus nerve. And that's one of the big central nerves. And I was talking to Kribben Govender from the Gut Health Gurus podcast on my show, and I'd listened to a few of his episodes, and he described the gut as a second brain. So imagine if you've got leaky gut or dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in healthy bacteria and unhealthy bacteria, or there's some sort of gut problem going on in your gut, that is then communicated to your brain. And so we can trace a lot of mental health challenges and issues that present themselves to our diet, because if we've got problems within our gut and we're not in harmony or in balance or homeostasis, if you'd like to say that, that leaks through. Your body uses the fuel that's in your gut or feels that disconnect, and then problems present itself. So when I look at someone's lifestyle, if they're struggling with mental health in any way, shape or form, no matter how big the issue is or small the issue is for them, I always like to refer back to how much sleep are you getting consistently, not in just the last night, but over the last week to a couple of months. How much stress is in your life, and what is getting put into your body on a consistent basis on top of exercise. Now, I believe nutrition is one of the big keys for helping with mental health. Alongside exercise, it's really, really, really important that it's almost like if you had a pie chart and you've got 66% here of nutrition, and 33% is exercise, 1% of sleep. Like, that's not the exact figures, but if you can imagine, all these little things play a role in your mental health as well. So for me, if we use me as a reference, because that's really easy, I can look at my anxiety and my self-esteem issues were at its peak when I was drinking every single weekend, when I was eating Kentucky Fried Chicken and other horrible foods every single weekend, donuts, not really any proper food, no vegetables, no real lean meats, nothing sustainable and natural. That was when my mental health was at its worst. That for me is where I draw that link, and you can see there's plenty of research done out there that we can follow up that shows these links. But in terms of what foods maybe perpetuates that, I think it's if you're just consistently eating crap food. Because if you're consistently eating crap food and say you put on a lot of weight, say you then have self-esteem issues, or you're not confident in going to the beach or putting a shirt on or standing in front of the mirror naked, that creates challenges within your mental health. And then there's the problem. It's not really there's a bad food, because we can have things in moderation, right? It's just if you eat crap food over and over again consistently, that's all you eat, then it sure have an effect on your mindset, but it affects all other facets of your lifestyle, which then, all contribute to poor mental health. I don't know, what were your thoughts on that, BSI?
Exactly the same. And so it's funny. It could be for me, when I lost weight, it was an ego booster, but then on the other, it went the other way for me. It worked out for me, but I still had to mitigate humility, because like I was the kid in middle school and high school. I was overweight and I was short. I wasn't like the height I am now. That's the height I've been since like sophomore year of high school. And so I was overweight and short, and so I looked real funny. So I always got picked on. But then I went to college. I had to drop out, and so after that, I had to figure out how I was going to get this degree without, asking the government and getting in debt, basically. So that's when the Army came up. And so I had to lose weight. I had to lose about 109 pounds. And I did it in about 11 months. And right around, so when people work out, everyone, especially with our generation, want instant gratification. After that second month, people are looking to get definition. People are looking to maybe not get a six pack, but have something flat. That just didn't work out for me. The only reason I didn't stop, usually that's when people stop. The only reason I didn't stop is because I knew this bachelor's degree wasn't going to fall out of the sky. I had to do this. And so, but by month, like 6 or 7, that's usually after I had lost to finish the weight. People keep asking me, and I kept telling them, give it 6 months of hard work and dedication. You could diet, but good eating, change your eating lifestyle, and at least exercise at least 4 to 5 days a week. By that 6 month, if you take that picture and you don't see a difference, then maybe you need more help. I never tell anyone to quit, but maybe you need more help. Go see a trainer or go see a dietitian. But give it that 6 months. After that 6 months and I lost weight, that's all I needed. That ego booster. I look in the mirror, that shirt fell a little loose. The pants got a little, loose. And I was like, oh, this is working. And that's where when the diet came in for me, it helped with, I guess you could say, definitely confidence. But it swung for me differently. So when the year came up, I lost weight. I went from like a 3XL to a medium in like 11 months. I went to a 44 size pants to like a 34. And so, you lose it from your face, you lose it from the arms. So I was wearing smaller shirts that's more fitting and cutting. And I'll never forget this. At the 11th month, I walked through a general Walmart, a superstore. And for some reason, I just could feel the eyes on me from women around me. And so as men, that's an ego booster. Mainly, majority of stuff we do is for women. Gotta look good for them. That's all. And when I got that, I was like, oh, okay, this is what it is. This is a good feeling. And that could be vain. People say that'd be vain, but let's honestly, what are you working out for? It's to be healthy, but let's be honest. People want to look good and feel good. Get some attention sometimes. That's okay. But that's it. That's what it was for me and for dieting. And so I made a lifestyle choice, and that made me feel good too. That was outside. That was existential. That was outside of me feeling good inside. Outside, positive of getting the attention. I was like, oh, that carries on. I try to impress that upon people all the time. So, and when you spoke and you said, I believe you said you had the issue started when you were in a relationship. I want to ask you, so usually what happens with people is they usually feel bad, they usually come in with the mental health issue, and then they start eating bad. For you, I don't know if I'm misinterpreting, but for you, how did it start? Did you just have that lifestyle of where you just wasn't healthy and doing anything, and then the issues came in? Or was it the usual, like, people had something bad happen to them and then they go downhill? Because usually
sorry. Yeah, I get what you mean. For me, I think I always had these issues present and I'd never been able to address them. So they were underlying. And I thought, yeah, I'm healthy. Things are going well. And then, meet someone new, all giddy for a few weeks or whatever. Red flags. They start treating you like crap, and I think, oh, this is really good though. And then anxiety starts playing up. Self-esteem. Oh, maybe I'm not good enough for them. Anxiety going, oh, they're probably interested in someone else. They're not interested in me. Then drinking starts. No regard for skipping the gym. No regard for what I'm putting into my body. I just need to eat for comfort, or going to hang out with friends and going for a beer and then getting drunk and eating more crap food, and then feeling sorry for myself the next day, and then slowly get out of that headspace and move on from that person, and then feeling good, and then meet someone new. Same cycle. All giddy for a few months, self-esteem sets in, anxiety because I start to overthink. Same cycle. Eat crap food, drink alcohol to comfort myself. And that went on from when I was 19 all the way through to about 21. Where I would eat bad food, drink, etc. to comfort myself. Then I started really improving I looked back and I became self-aware, really mindful, and was able to look back and look at the imprints and start to address certain issues. And I think I've gotten to a point where I can manage them really, really, really well. But it took another 2 to 3 years to build a lifestyle, as you said, not a diet, build a lifestyle that supported my body and my mental health at the same time. And you can, sure, we can do that. We can build a great lifestyle with really good relationships with what we're putting in our body and how we move, and also how we think. But a lot of people think that a weight loss and fitness journey, or a journey to improve in some way, shape or form, there's less focus on the mindset and more focus on the physical changes. And anyone who has had a real successful transformation will tell you, even yourself, like just I can listen from your story, you get this mental clarity all of a sudden, and you just feel better, and you feel like you're a different person. And that was the longest part of the journey, was to get to the point I'm at now, to have this, because I've been in relatively good shape for a while now, but I mentally wasn't comfortable. So I had these underlying issues which popped up every time, and then I'll go through a cycle of eating crap food, get over the relationship, cycle, bad food, new relationship, etc.
I keep saying this, I hate to be corny, I like authenticity. But depression, to me, I dealt with it twice in my adult life. To me, it either feels like a fog or a cloud over your head, or sometimes, before I moved in this apartment, to me, when I was either depressed or feeling down, I felt like there was a spirit sitting in the corner, emitting darkness, emitting a cloud. And I just couldn't get him out. And when I started working out again, started reading again, started getting clarity, it felt like that cloud started to dissipate. It felt like I was getting him out. I felt like I was starving him of his right to be here in my space. You know what I mean? I think went a little too fast, but I think people don't see it that way. But anyway, what I do want to get to is two things. first off, how you practice and impart these things through your exercise and your personal training, and then definitely let's get to the podcast. So, in your personal training, what are these? Of course, these aren't, probably attach people to automatically have issues and mental health problems, but how do you mitigate and how do you, because for me, when I try to impart knowledge that I know and these books that I know, I never try to sit on the soapbox because no one, especially in our generation, needs to be preached to. So how do you mitigate and how do you kind of put the medicine in the candy with people who you're training to get to know that we're working on this too?
Okay, so it comes down to being really empathetic and understanding. And because I've had my own personal journey, I sort of look at someone when they approach me to work with me. I can go, is there an issue, sort of like yourself, you needed to just lose the weight because you needed to get in the army? Is there a reason like that, an outside force, or is there an internal driver that is there? So I can differentiate quickly between, okay, they're working on something like low self-esteem or anxiety or low body confidence, or like I've had a client who just wanted to go to the army, never suffered at all. Mentally, he was just, I want to go to the army, and for that I need to improve my strength and composition and just get fit, drop weight. So I can quickly see where people fall into those categories. And there might be some people with less challenges mentally than some other people, but each person I work with uniquely, I ask them a lot of questions, try to paint the picture so I can this is what they're working on. Then I kind of ask them actually, where would you like to be in a year's time, physically, mentally? Then they come at me with that expectation of where they'd like to be or see themselves, etc., in the next year or 2 years. And okay, well, to achieve that, we need to do X, Y, and Z. So then throughout training, I impart just relatability. If there's a problem, I talk to them, I listen. It's all about listening, and this is really important for anyone who knows someone who is struggling with their mental health. Listening is super, super important, and just understanding what's going through them, and it might be hard to get them to talk at times. Just, positively, if you actually say this, if you got someone who's struggling and you know that there's something wrong, but they don't want to open up to you, that's fine. Not everybody will open up to you when you want them to. It's up to that person to share, because they're dealing with their demons inside them. So approaching them and saying, hey, look, I know you're not ready to talk right now, but I'm here when you're ready to talk, and leaving that door open for them. If they still don't go with that, contact someone that's close to them and say, hey, look, I would just, can you check in on John, or such and such, I think something's off. Can you do a look in? Because everybody's struggling, right? So if someone doesn't open up to me straight away, that's fine. I let them know that I'm there for them, but we keep working on building some lifestyle habits and building up their strength and changing their composition. And slowly over time, I just see a shift in that person anyway, if they do try to put in the work. Like I've seen some people who come to me and they've been overweight their entire life, and they've been battling mental health challenges and low self-esteem their entire life. They come to me, they only do half the work, they get half the result, and they don't change mentally at all. I've seen that. I won't be afraid to say that I've had people come to me and not change at all because they didn't want to get uncomfortable. And it's a really hard situation, hard thing to talk about, because you can't just go to someone, hey, it's been 2 years, pull your finger out. No, because they might resent you. You've got to go, hey, what are you working with? Is there anything you can talk to me about? Is there something I can help you with? You got to go a little bit above and beyond for these people. And you've got to keep putting yourself out there until they give you something. And someone might take 10 years to change, and someone might respond really well in a year. 6 months, I can't tell how someone's going to respond to me as a person and trying to offer empathetic and guidance and advice based on myself, but I try to always give my full attention to someone if they need it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm gonna admit, me as an advocate, I still stray. I'm in limbo of figuring out how to get to people individually and into the masses. And like you said, is because my own journey is reminiscent of that. And so the easiest way is to get a therapist, but unfortunately not everybody can afford it. So you figuring out this own way, I applaud immensely, because it takes a tribe. So even outside of being a therapist or seeing professional help, if that person isn't going to go seek it, and you can't go get them to walk that path for themselves, it takes a tribe. Like you said, you got to get someone else. You got to get the mom involved, the sister involved, the brother, little nephew, whoever. If this person is having this problem, if you really care about this person. I'm trying to figure out how not to get on my soapbox with this whole thing, this podcast, and giving out this information. Like, I'm trying to mitigate that. I'm gonna take that in heed. That was a good lesson. I'm assuming, I feel like I was supposed to hear that. So thank you. Going into the podcast. So redesign your body. In short, what would you say is your, not mission statement? I hate when people ask for that. But what is the ultimate, I guess you could say, ultimate goal? Let's go with that. The ultimate mission.
I want to help people build happier and then sustainable lifestyles. So feel more confident managing their anxiety and managing their mental health, and also having really great lifestyles where they have a good relationship with exercise, food, sleep, everything encompassing a lifestyle, so that they can be the best version of them, right? And as corny as that sounds, a lot of people who are imprinted on by other people, who have other people's perceptions or thoughts put on them. And then, I think that the people who called me ugly and smart, if that was still me, I would want to help me get to where I am now. So basically everything I've done with my lifestyle, I want to help people do. I'm the happiest I've ever been, pretty much the healthiest I've ever been, the most aware and mindful and grateful that I've ever been. And so I want people to achieve that same level of happiness. I want people to achieve the lifestyle sustainability that I have, that I know that I can maintain this physical health for the rest of my life. That's the mission of Redesign Your Body. But it evolves very quickly. It was Redesign Your Body, and now I'm like, well, it could be Redesign Your Life. It could be everything. So you redesign your body, it changes your life. Help people build happier and sustainable lifestyles is generally what I would go with.
I applaud that. I commend you. I wish you all the best on the journey. For me, it's taken me a lot in this space. And for that, you're tackling more than one thing. Like, even though you're cutting into the real problem, there's other things you got to get to in front of it. I'm just dealing with the mind. You're dealing with the mind, body, what they ingest. Like,
It's all a process. Like, when I started the podcast, I had no idea. I thought I was out of my depth, imposter syndrome up to my ears. I was in deep water. I didn't know what I was doing. Who's going to listen? As I started to create more content and I started to learn more about myself and find topics and interview different people and reach out and grow as a person, it just naturally evolved to that. So I think that this is my purpose, and it's only going to be greater than this at a global level. That's all it is. If I can help the society as a whole be happier and healthier, then that's going to translate into personal relationships. Kids will be raised happier, less abuse, less mental health challenges. People have a better relationship with money, housing, there's less homelessness. It can impact more than just health and fitness, because it's a domino effect. If I help you, for example, we won't say anything particular. We just say, I help you, Isaiah, and you then become the best version of yourself. Not saying you're not already, but become the best version of yourself. You're the happiest and healthiest you've ever been. You have the best lifestyle you could possibly ask for. You're just so grateful. Then the people around you see that, and you impact them, and then they go and change, and then they go and change the people around them, and then all those people that you've changed, at 25 or whatever, have changed 25 people around them, and it just blows out of proportion. And over time, society as a whole just becomes happier, becomes healthier, and you win because you've changed people at their core. I could go on.
Yeah, I'm with you. And not to get anyone that will watch, not to get confused. I think people would think what you and I and other people are doing in this space is too much of a grandiose statement and whatnot. And we maybe be dreamers, but where is it? Who's gonna start? Who's gonna do it? I think our generation is extremely unique, and Gen Z. It's like Gen Z in specific, right under us, they are fearless. Like, Who's gonna do it? There's been a lot of dead space, especially in my country. It's been about a good 20, 30 years of dead space of people just like talking, people just having meetings and councils and superintendents and district leaders or whatever, just doing a lot of talking, nothing's getting done, and that's what caused a lot of issues. And so something has to happen. Like if someone says that's a grandiose statement, you're dreaming, yeah, you'll get one or two people. It doesn't matter, those one or two people are gonna start talking. Once they feel better, people are gonna see it. People are gonna gravitate to you in specific because you're doing it in a way that's gonna help them beyond just their brain. Like I said, you're helping them look better, feel better, lives better. They'll talk to other people and say, hey, there's this personal trainer who just didn't get me a six-pack. Like, I'm living now. I don't feel like I'm just existing. He helped me to live now. Like, you're gonna carry that on. It means much to me to speak with people like you in that fact. You helped spark me through this conversation and the prior conversation we had. Speaking to you, I thought when I started my podcast, I was nervous too. I saw you spoke about the imposter syndrome on your Instagram. I was like, that was funny. I didn't have the issue because this niche that I'm in is spearheads because I have a personal issue with it. It's a driving force. I feel like I gotta get it out. But I was worried about how I was gonna be about being an interviewer. Because honestly, as of late, I watched pretty much a lot of YouTube, and there's a couple of two podcasts I look at, and those two guys, how they come across in the interview is genuine, but one of the guys, he's an actual journalist, and you can tell the professionalism. And so I had so much anxiety of how I wanted this thing to look. Like I wanted this thing to look like these guys who make millions off journalism. And something just hit me. It's like, dude, you work in IT, you have a regular job. This is not what you're gonna do. However it's gonna look and people are gonna gravitate to it, you gotta just make more content. And like you said, when you started making more content, more things start coming. The work has to come through. You gotta do it. And so I'm just ready for the journey. And I thank you for being here and speaking to us. I wish you all the best in your podcast. One tidbit, this is one thing I wanted to know. And this is personal. This is off the cuff. With your personal training, and do I want to combine the two? Let's separate. With your personal training, what is one variable or one underlying thing amongst all your, I guess you could say clients or your trainees that you see if they do have a mental health aspect? What is one thing you cut through that works to get them over the hill or over the edge? Is it just the diet? Is it just working out? Is it them reading books? Is it them having just someone to talk to?
Well, I first like to tell them that I see a lot of value in them as a person and that I teach them to value themselves first. Because if you value yourself, then you can help others. But then if I get my clients to really understand their value as a human in their own body, in their own skin, it gives them a bit more confidence to move forward. And then I'll get them to focus on just trying to learn one thing, be better than you were last week. That's all it is. It's 1%ers that add up to 37% better over a course of a year. That's personal growth. You don't have to change everything at once. It's just how can you be slightly better than you were last week? What's one habit we can work on? And that's what I get all of my clients to focus on, whether it's just strength training clients or transformation clients. What's one thing you can do better each and every week? Just one thing. Focus on it. Go hard on that one thing for the week.
That's a note for the masses. Well, I think we're coming on the concluding of our time, but first off, I want to thank you, Jake, for coming to talk to me. I want you to think of blocking off the time. I thank you. This time difference, I've never even worked with anything with this type of time difference. I think it's weird. So during COVID, I always used to say to people, man, time is a hoax. It's not real. I used to be in my apartment for about days on end, and the next day would be Monday. I have to go to work. I'm like, I know it was just Tuesday. But you having the light out there and it being dark out here, I guess time is real. But I want to thank you for working with me, for mitigating. I wish you, seriously, all the best in what you do. Anyone in this field doing anything with me and how you're doing it is very hyper specific and niche in its own right too. And so I wish you the best. I wish your clients the best. I wish the podcast the best. And anything that you want to give out, I give you open space right now. Let the people know where. If your personal training has any websites or socials, give that out, please. And of course, the podcast. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Firstly, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's very, very, very important for me to myself to come on here and talk about mental health. Being someone who's really struggled, I think I give a lot back to those who really want to improve themselves or pull themselves out of that cloud, as you were talking about, that fog. So if you'd like to connect with me, first and foremost, Redesign Your Body podcast, Spotify, Apple, or Google, all the major platforms. We're something like 37 episodes, which is really incredible. You can follow me on social media. Isaiah has me on Instagram. It's Jake Pearson, which will be in the show notes or wherever Isaiah puts it. In my Facebook, I have a group, Redesign Your Body podcast support group, and that's just a support group for people wanting to become more mindful, grateful, improve their lifestyle choices, etc. And if you want to reach out, my website is www.redesignpodcast.com. Easy as that.
Amazing. I'll make sure everyone gets that, put out your links. Definitely, hopefully you guys reach out wherever you need. I don't know if any of you guys are going to take out flights to Australia or whatever, where he's at, but I'm pretty sure he's worth it. Like he says, he has a lot of things going on. He has a lot of accolades coming. He's doing a lot. Once again, that's why I appreciate your time, man. So I hope all is well with you. I hope you be safe out here. I don't know how things are going on. Your neck of the woods. How's it going? How's it looking for you? Let us know for a little bit.
How's it looking? We're still stuffed. So I don't want to talk politics, but there was this drama, the wrong guards, which led to COVID infecting half of one state, Victoria. The rest of the country is fine. Absolutely normal. Then our state is in a hard lockdown restrictions, still been there pretty much for 10 months of the year. 8 to 10 months. It's been crazy. So, but we're doing what we can. We're getting through it. We're nearly at the end of it. I would like to see, I can't even travel to the city to see some of my friends and family, but I can go to the country. I'm very fortunate that I'm in country, regional versus metro. Metro has copped it hard. We were getting not many cases a day, 700 in comparison to a lot of other countries, but it's been tough on a lot of livelihoods and businesses, but I'm just grateful to have a roof over my head and a bed to sleep in.
Great. I'm not going to get into our good old country. I'm pretty sure everyone's been watching the news. I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, with our fearless leader, but we're making it. We're gonna do it. So I wish you all the best, man. I hope you please stay safe. Best of you to the podcast, man. This is even though honest, not even extension. If you need anything from me, we can talk next time. We are. Let me go ahead and say that on video. We're gonna get another episode and we're gonna speak. I just had a newfound, I'm glad I didn't get too in depth of what you do prior to this. I wanted to know and it be authentic. Like you're doing some, excuse my French, real shit and through. And I hope you're the best. I hope it expands too. I hope you really
Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot.
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, that's Jake Pearson here on the Mental Health Podcast. I thank you for your time, sir. I hope you have a good day.
No worries. Take it easy.